At 82, I have gathered a wealth of life experience, but there is one choice I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it appeared to be the best decision. My family encouraged me, assuring me that I would receive all the care and comfort I needed. I trusted them. But once I arrived, I quickly realized that reality was far from what I had imagined. I know many of you might be considering this option, either for yourself or a loved one. Perhaps you think it's the safest route, or maybe you've been told it will make life easier. But before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish I had known before making the move. Because the truth is, living in a nursing home isn't just about convenience, it changes everything. And once you enter, leaving is not as simple as you might think. Stay with me until the end, as some of these lessons may surprise you. If you know someone who is contemplating this decision, this video could be exactly what they need to hear before making a life-altering choice. Before we start, we ask you to like the video and leave a comment to help the channel grow. Subscribe and activate the notification bell to stay updated on our content. Now, let's begin. Regret 1: losing my independence. The greatest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the scheduled meals, or the unfamiliar faces. It was realizing that I had lost control over my own life. Before I moved in, I had my own routines. I chose when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I wanted, cook my own meals, or simply relax in my favorite chair with a book. But once inside the nursing home, I quickly understood that my time was no longer my own. Everything followed a schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast was served at a set time, whether I was hungry or not. Lights went out at a specific hour, regardless of whether I was ready for bed. Want to go for a walk outside? You might need permission, and chances are, you'll have to wait until someone is available to assist you. Even basic choices, like deciding what to eat or wear, started to feel like privileges rather than personal decisions. I vividly remember my first week there. I woke up in a bed that felt unfamiliar. Sitting up, stretching, I reached for the book I had been reading at home. But as I looked around, reality struck: this wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, the little comforts I had spent years collecting were all gone. Instead, I was surrounded by sterile walls, a bed I hadn't chosen, and an overwhelming sense of loss. The hardest realization: once you give up your independence, reclaiming it is nearly impossible. You adjust because you must. You stop resisting when they tell you what's for dinner. You stop asking if you can take a walk whenever you feel like it. You learn to conform to their system, but in doing so, you begin to lose yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to give up the small freedoms that make life your own? Because once they're gone, you will miss them more than you ever imagined. Regret 2: feeling forgotten. One of the most painful realities of moving into a nursing home is realizing that life outside continues without you. When I first arrived, my family assured me they would visit often. I believed them, and at first, they did. My daughter came by once a week. My grandchildren visited on weekends. For a while, I still felt connected to my old life. But as the months passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My grandchildren got caught up with school and work. Holidays were the hardest. Everyone promised they would visit, but somehow, plans always changed at the last minute. Suddenly, I found myself sitting alone in the common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me, life simply got in the way. When you're not physically present in someone's daily life, it's easy for them to assume you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you stay in a nursing home, the easier it becomes for people to forget how much they still mean to you. I remember one evening, sitting in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to feel like a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So, I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me. This was my reality now, watching the days pass, hoping someone would remember me. If you're considering moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's surprisingly easy to become out of mind. If you're still watching this video and find these insights meaningful, leave a comment with the number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on notifications, so you don't miss any future videos. Now, let's continue. Regret 3, losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was only changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing the reason I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had daily routines, hobbies, and a reason to wake up every morning. Even small tasks, watering my plants, brewing my own coffee, tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those simple rituals vanished. Meals were prepared for me. Someone else handled the cleaning. The plants, they weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I convinced myself that this would be a welcome break, no more chores, no more responsibilities, just time to relax. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt endless, stretched out before me with nothing to do but wait. I saw the same feeling in other residents. People who had once been full of energy now sat in silence, staring into the distance, waiting for the hours to pass. I remember a man named George, an 84-year-old former carpenter. Back home, he was always working on something, fixing things, building small projects in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew, his once strong, capable hands now resting idly in his lap. I feel useless, he admitted one day. And I knew exactly how he felt. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life starts to lose meaning. The mind slows, the body follows, and soon, you begin to feel like just another resident in a place where time moves, but nothing really changes. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't just about staying busy, it's about holding on to the things that make you feel alive. Regret 4, declining health faster than expected. Before moving into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could take care of myself, go for walks, and cook my own meals. I had small routines that kept me active, grocery shopping, stretching in the morning, even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was simply taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I no longer had to stand in the kitchen cooking. If I needed something, I could press a button, and someone would come to assist me. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I wasn't moving as much, and soon my legs felt stiff. I spent more time sitting, and before I knew it, even getting up from a chair felt like a struggle. The muscles I had spent years maintaining were disappearing faster than I ever thought possible. And it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others. People who had walked in on their own 2 feet gradually started relying on wheelchairs. Those who had once been independent now needed help with tasks they had never struggled with before. The more assistance we received, the more we seemed to need it. I remember Alice, an 81-year-old woman who was full of life when she first arrived. She took daily walks around the facility, proudly insisting that she wasn't going to slow down just because of her age. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as often. Then she started using a walker. Before long, she was in a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." And that's exactly what it felt like. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. And in a nursing home, where everything is designed for ease and comfort, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. If I had known how quickly I would lose my strength, I would have fought harder to stay active, to keep moving, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything around you makes it easy to stop trying? Because once you slow down, getting back up isn't as easy as you think. If you're still watching and find these insights helpful, leave a comment with the number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us continue creating content to inform and inspire. Now, let's move on. Regret 5, the loss of privacy and dignity. Before moving into a nursing home, I didn't fully consider just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit quietly if I wanted, and live on my own terms. But in a nursing home, privacy is a privilege, not a guarantee. From the moment I arrived, I felt constantly monitored. Staff came in and out, routine room checks were conducted, and shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even the most basic tasks, like getting dressed or using the bathroom, often required assistance. I understood that the caregivers were just doing their jobs, but accepting help for things I had always done independently was a difficult adjustment. I remember struggling in my first week with the realization that I needed permission for things I had once done freely. Taking a shower? I had to wait until someone was available to help. Using the restroom? Pressing the call button didn't always mean immediate assistance. Even meal choices were limited. If I didn't like what was on the menu, there wasn't much I could do about it. And then there was the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be challenging. I was fortunate to have a kind roommate, but others weren't as lucky. Some had roommates who were noisy, unclean, or suffered from cognitive issues that made restful sleep nearly impossible. No matter how much you try to personalize your room, it never truly feels like yours. Losing dignity is one of the hardest things to experience, and I didn't realize how much of mine I would have to give up until I was already there. When people knock but don't always wait for an answer before entering, when you're spoken to more like a patient than a person, when your daily schedule is dictated by others, it changes you. You start to feel less like yourself and more like just another name on a chart. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and autonomy you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, getting it back is far more difficult than you might expect. Regret 6, realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I convinced myself it was temporary. I thought I'd try it out, see how things went, and if I wasn't happy, I could simply leave. What I didn't realize was just how difficult leaving would actually be. At first, it seemed straightforward. If I didn't like it, I'd just go back home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house had been sitting empty, and managing it from a distance had become complicated. My children had already started making changes, selling things they assumed I wouldn't need, even considering renting out the place. When I brought up the idea of returning, they hesitated. "Are you sure you can manage on your own?" they asked. "Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you." Then there was the issue of physical decline. After months of not cooking, cleaning, or even walking much, I wasn't as strong as before. The independence I once had was fading, making the thought of moving back home feel overwhelming. I doubted my ability to live alone, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others who had gone through the same thing. They had planned to try out the nursing home temporarily, only to realize that leaving was far more complicated than they had expected. The longer they stayed, the harder it became to adjust to life outside. Some even lost the option entirely. Homes were sold, savings were drained by the cost of care, and suddenly, there was no way back. That's the part nobody warns you about. Moving in feels like a choice you can undo, but for most people, it isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your entire world, and before you realize it, the life you once knew starts to feel like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that leaving might not be as easy as you think? Because once you settle in, the obstacles to leaving, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be much harder to overcome than you ever expected. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you do so and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my sense of self. Does that mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before you make that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up. Because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get help without giving up my freedom, and made sure I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. And if you're facing this decision, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me, or is it just what seems easiest right now? The life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts matter, and reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.